Hi everyone. In today's lesson, our last one for FlexBlock, we're going to review the trig function tangent. So if you recall, the tangent ratio is the ratio of the opposite leg to the adjacent leg. So tangent doesn't use the hypotenuse at all. As always, the first thing that you should do when you come across a triangle or you're asked to use tangent to solve for something or to find the tangent ratio, you should mark off your angle. So first we're going to find the tangent of angle A. So I put an arc on angle A. Now if I go across the triangle to the side marked with the 8, that's the opposite leg. And then the side that helps to form the angle is the adjacent leg. And I'm just going to highlight that and also label it as adjacent. And again, the hypotenuse has nothing to do with tangent. So when we write the tangent ratio, we want to write the opposite side length over the adjacent side length. So the tangent for angle A would first be equal to 8 over 6. So that's opposite side is 8, adjacent side is 6. But I'd also like you to reduce fractions whenever possible. So we would write it as 4 over 3 as our final answer. Now, when you go to take a look at angle B, I want to take a second and redraw the triangle because the labels are going to change, right? When you change the angle of reference, you change your perspective. So this time around, we're using angle B as our angle of reference, and I notice that now the side length of 6 is the opposite side, and 8 becomes the adjacent side. So the tangent of angle B is equal to 6 over 8, which then would reduce to 3 over 4. And notice that it's the reciprocal of the tangent of angle A, and that's because those two angles are complementary. Okay, next we're just going to do a few quick problems on the calculator. So remember, you want a scientific calculator or the Desmos scientific calculator open in a tab on your computer or your phone in scientific mode. So you're going to find the tangent of each of these three angles. The tangent of 45 degrees is just equal to 1, no rounding necessary. That's because in a 45-45 right triangle, for the leg opposite 45 degrees and the leg adjacent to 45 degrees, they will be equal to each other. The tangent of 38 degrees requires some rounding, so it's 0.781 when you round to 3 decimal places. And finally, the tangent of 12 degrees is 0.213. All right, next we're going to take a look at how to use the tangent function to find the length of a missing side, just like we did with sine and cosine. So for my angle marked with 35 degrees, x marks the opposite side, and 12 marks the adjacent side. So my equation can be written as tangent of my angle measure, 35 degrees, equals opposite over adjacent, x over 12. Now just like with sine and cosine, you may find it easier if you put the tangent of 35 over 1, and then next we're going to cross multiply. So x times 1 gives me x, and we're going to set that equal to what we get along the other diagonal. And you can write this as 12 tangent 35. If you have a scientific calculator or you're using Desmos, type it into the calculator just like that, and you should get 8.4. And again, you're going to round to 1 decimal place. Okay, if you're using your phone, you have to do it in a little bit of a reverse order. So you're going to type 35, then press the tangent button, and then press multiplication, and then press 12, and then equals. And you should still come out with 8.4. Same answer, just a different way to type it if you're using your phone. Okay, in example 2, I'm going to show you 2 different ways for doing this problem. If you want to work with the 50-degree angle, you could set this up as the tangent of 50 degrees is equal to the opposite side, 15, over the adjacent side, marked with x. Now, you've done this before with sine and cosine, so it's not too tricky. You're going to cross multiply, but you won't get x alone. You're going to have x times the tangent of 50 is equal to 15, because that's what happens along the other diagonal. If you do it this way, then you have to divide both sides by the tangent of 50, which can be a little bit tricky on your calculator, especially if you're using your phone, but it's really not too hard. So the tangent of 15 divides out on the left, and we get x equals 15 divided by tangent of 50 on the right. Okay, so if you go to your calculator and type that in, you'll come out with x is equal to 12.6. Okay, on your phone, you're going to type in 15 divided by 50 tangent, that's the button you press, and then you have to press the equal sign. Right, I mentioned that there was another way to do this. You could also find the other angle by taking the two angles you know, the 90 and the 50, and subtracting from 180. And now you could use that angle. And here's how it makes it a little bit easier. For that angle of 40 degrees, the side marked with x is the opposite side, and 15 is the adjacent. So while we're still going to use tangent, you can say tangent of 40 is equal to x over 15. This equation is a little bit easier to solve because when you cross multiply, you will get x alone. X times 1 equals x. And along the other diagonal, you're going to be doing 15 times the tangent of 40. All right, you're still going to come out with 12.6, but again, it's slightly easier to solve it this way. Okay, for the last two problems, recall that we're going to have to use inverse trig functions. So for my angle marked with theta, 6 is the opposite side and 7 is adjacent. So we would say tangent of theta equals 6 over 7. And you're going to rewrite this using the inverse tangent function. You guys might call that tan negative 1. So rewrite it as theta equals the inverse tangent of 6 divided by 7. And for angles, we're going to round to the nearest whole degree. So we end up with 41 degrees. Okay, if you're using your phone, you're going to do 6 divided by 7 equals, and then press the second key, and then it will change tangent to inverse tangent. And for our last example, for my angle marked with theta, 15 is the opposite side, 18 is adjacent. So we're going to be writing tangent of theta equals 15 divided by 18, or theta equals inverse tangent, 15 divided by 18. And that's going to give us an angle measure of 40 degrees for our final answer. Again, angles we round to the nearest whole number. As always, let me know if you need any help with anything.